According to psychological studies, the average person spends up to 40% of their daily mental energy worrying about what other people think of them. That is nearly half of your life wasted on a script you didn't even write. Think about the last time you posted a photo online, or said something in a meeting, or even picked out an outfit. How much of that choice was genuinely you, and how much of it was a calculated chess move to prevent someone else from judging you? Every single day, we carry around an invisible, exhausting backpack filled with other people's opinions. We worry about what our boss thinks, what our parents expect, and, let's be honest, whether the barista at Starbucks thinks we ordered a pretentious drink. But what if I told you that every major problem, every ounce of anxiety, and almost all of your unhappiness stems from just one single cause? You care way too much about what others think of you. Today, we are diving deep into a psychological masterpiece that completely flips mainstream self-help on its head. The Courage to be Disliked, written by Japanese philosopher Ichiro Kishimi and author Fumitake Koga. This isn't your typical just think positive thoughts and touch grass kind of book. It's based on the revolutionary theories of Alfred Adler, a giant of psychology who stood alongside Freud and Jung, but saw the world in a radically different way. Adler's core argument sounds almost offensive at first glance. He claims that your internal worry doesn't actually exist in a vacuum. Every single internal conflict you have is secretly linked to the outside world. There is no such thing as a purely individual worry. Whatever keeps you awake at 3:00 a.m., the shadows of other people are always hiding in the background. The authors argue that life is actually incredibly simple. We are the ones who insist on making it complicated. And the golden key to unlocking true, unadulterated happiness? It's having the courage to be disliked. Now, that sounds terrifying, doesn't it? Our biological survival instincts practically scream at us to fit in with the tribe. But real freedom means being okay with people not liking you. It's not that you lack the talent or the confidence to live your best life. You simply lack the courage to face disapproval. When you finally find that courage, your relationships will suddenly transform from a heavy burden into something completely weightless. But wait, if the solution is that simple, why are millions of us actively choosing to remain miserable every single day? Is unhappiness actually a deliberate strategy we use to protect ourselves? We are about to uncover the shocking truth about why your brain secretly wants you to feel stuck. And it all starts with a concept called teleology. Let's look at why your past might not matter as much as you think. Most of modern psychology tells us a very specific story. You are the way you are because of what happened to you in the past. Your childhood, your ex, that embarrassing thing you said in high school. They supposedly carved your personality into stone. This is called etiology, the study of cause and effect. But Alfred Adler looks at you and says, "Nice try, but no." Adler introduces us to teleology, which is the study of purpose. He argues that we aren't driven by past causes, we are driven by our current goals. Your body, mind, emotions, and thoughts are all working together right now toward a specific objective, even if you are completely unaware of it. Think about your lifestyle, your habits, your emotional reactions, your daily routines. Adler says this isn't a fixed personality trait. It's a choice you made at some point in your life, and you continue to choose it every single morning because you believe it serves a purpose. Let's take a wild example. Imagine someone who wants a great career but gets so intensely anxious before job interviews that they sweat through their shirt, panic, and can't even show up. They tell themselves, "If only this anxiety would go away, I could get my dream job." Kishimi and Koga would look at this person and gently break the illusion. They'd argue that the person's true goal is to avoid the terrifying risk of failing the interview. Because if they go and get rejected, their self-esteem takes a massive hit. So what does the brain do? It actively manufactures the emotion of fear and anxiety as a perfect tool to achieve the goal of staying safely at home. They don't want the job as much as they want to avoid the vulnerability of failure. This applies directly to trauma as well. The authors aren't saying bad things don't happen. They are saying that no experience is in itself a cause of our success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, the so-called trauma, but instead, we make out of them whatever suits our current purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but by the meaning we give to them. This brings us to a beautiful, empowering realization. No matter what has occurred in your life up to this exact second, it has zero bearing on how you live from this moment forward. You, living in the here and now, are the absolute ruler of your own life. By the way, if you're listening to this and wondering how to fundamentally shift these deeply ingrained mental patterns, you might want to ask yourself, isn't it time to rewire your brain? Because changing your life requires changing your underlying goals. But this raises a massive psychological paradox. If we have the complete power to choose our own lifestyle and be happy right now, why do so many people actively choose to be miserable? What is the hidden reward of staying unhappy? The answer lies in a dangerous social trap we all fall into. A trap that turns everyone around you into an enemy. Let's find out what that trap is. If happiness is a choice, then why do we see so many miserable faces on our morning commute? The authors reveal that unhappiness is actually a highly effective strategy for a lot of people. It's a shield. But what are they shielding themselves from? The answer is simple: the terrifying demands of interpersonal relationships. According to the book, there are two main goals you can have when you interact with another human being. You are either seeking their approval, or you are aiming to make a positive impact in their life. Unhappy people almost always choose the first goal: gaining approval. They build their entire identity on being seen as good by others. Whether it's validation from a parent, a spouse, a boss, or strangers on Instagram, they believe that external applause equals self-worth. We've been conditioned since childhood to think this is normal. We grew up in a system of reward and punishment education. If you do something good, you get a gold star. If you do something bad, you get scolded. So naturally, we become praise addicts. But Kishimi and Koga warn us that seeking recognition comes with an incredibly heavy price tag. When you live to fulfill other people's expectations, you are essentially letting them hijack your life. You are sacrificing your freedom. Think about it. When someone praises you, they are judging your behavior based on their personal yardstick. If you make receiving praise your ultimate goal, you have no choice but to constantly adapt to their yardstick. You have to slam the brakes on your own freedom just to keep them smiling. You aren't living your life anymore. You're playing a character in their movie. And here is the absolute worst part. The desire for approval is a bottomless pit because it's completely out of your control. You can be the kindest, smartest, most generous person in the room, and someone will still find your voice annoying or your energy too much. When unhappy people realize that earning everyone's approval is literally impossible, they usually react in one of two toxic ways. First, they might just stop trying altogether. They sabotage themselves, creating deep self-hatred to justify their isolation. Or second, they convince themselves that they are fundamentally flawed, that they are just broken, so they can say, "See, it's not my fault people don't like me. I'm just built wrong." Both choices keep them trapped in a miserable but comfortable cage where they never have to take risks. Even worse, this relentless need for validation completely ruins your ability to form healthy friendships. Why? Because when you constantly need approval, you start viewing life as a giant competition. You see other people as rivals. If a friend succeeds, gets a promotion, or buys a beautiful house, your brain interprets it as a personal attack. You think, if they are winning, that means I am losing. You become trapped in a zero-sum game where the success of others makes you look worse by comparison. You start secretly praying for people to fail just so you can feel secure. It's a lonely, paranoid way to live. But how do we break out of this exhausting cycle of competition? How do we stop caring about the yardsticks of others without becoming cold, selfish hermits? The secret lies in a profound shift in perspective. A mental tool that allows you to care for others deeply, but without expecting a single thing in return. But to do that, you have to master a concept called the separation of tasks, and it's radically different from what you've been told about love and kindness. So, how do the truly happy people live? If they aren't chasing approval, what are they doing? Kishimi and Koga explain that happy people have shifted their focus entirely. Instead of wondering, what can I get from others? They ask, how can I contribute to others? They find their joy in being useful to the community around them. Now, let's clarify this immediately. because it sounds like traditional self-sacrifice, but it's actually the exact opposite. Unhappy people often practice a fake version of sacrifice. They do something nice for someone, like planning a massive surprise birthday party, but underneath, they are keeping score. They expect gratitude, praise, or an equally massive favor in return. And when they don't get it, they become deeply resentful. They feel wronged. Happy people, on the other hand, don't keep score. For them, contribution isn't a selfless, painful sacrifice. It's something they do primarily for their own fulfillment. They serve others because believing, "I am of use to someone," is the ultimate source of human happiness. Once you have a deep internal awareness of your own utility, the desperate need for external recognition completely evaporates. You don't need a standing ovation when you already know the value of what you've done. Furthermore, the authors drop a massive truth bomb. You don't even have to accomplish anything extraordinary to have value. Happy people understand that they bring joy to others simply by existing. Your mere presence, your heartbeat, your existence in the lives of the people who love you is already a profound form of contribution. When you realize this, you stop viewing other people's success as a threat. If life isn't a competition, then a friend's victory doesn't diminish your worth. You can genuinely celebrate their wins because you aren't competing for a limited supply of validation. Finally, happy people master the art of living in the present moment. They don't treat life as a linear race where you only win if you reach a certain finish line, like a specific bank account balance or a perfect relationship status. Instead, they treat life as a series of moments, like dancing. When you dance, the goal isn't to get to the end of the song as fast as possible. The goal is to enjoy every single step along the way. If your life ended tomorrow, a journey lived in the present moment is never a wasted life. The ultimate takeaway of the courage to be disliked is beautifully liberating. No matter what you do, someone, somewhere, is going to misunderstand you, judge you, or straight up dislike you. It is statistically unavoidable. Therefore, chasing universal approval is a form of mental slavery. True freedom requires you to accept this reality, look public opinion dead in the eye, and choose to live an authentic, meaningful life regardless of what the crowd thinks. It takes no effort to join the herd, but it takes immense courage to stand alone. But knowing this theory is only half the battle. How do you actually apply this to your real life tomorrow morning when your boss yells at you or your family pressures you into a life path you don't want? Well, the authors have a very specific practical formula to handle these exact moments without losing your peace, and it involves drawing a very strict boundary line in the sand. Let's see how you can apply this starting today.